Good morning. I want to talk about today's Just for Today, the daily meditation, which is about honest relationships. For a long time, most of my life, I don't think I had honest relationships. And it's not the people lying to me, it's me lying to the people. And it could have been as simple as, I'm okay. Or as simple as, I'm going to be this way or I'm going to be that way. The masks are lies, right? So I wore so many masks, and a mask is a lie. It's not an honest relationship if people think you're a certain way when you're actually not. And I didn't know who I was. I just knew who I wanted to be. And who I wanted to be was them. And when I say them, anybody that I was hanging out with, I wanted to be them. And so in recovery, I got to a place where what I found was one of my biggest fears, if not my biggest fear, probably my biggest fear, was people not accepting me, people not liking me, people talking bad about me, people thinking bad about me. That drove me to be a certain way, to act a certain way, to talk a certain way, to do a certain thing, regardless of my moral compass or how I felt. And then I got to a place, years and years later, where I started using drugs heavily, drinking heavily, and the masks were stripped because of my actions based on that. And I got to a place where all masks, none of them worked, because people saw right through them all. And they saw who I was, and I didn't even see who that person was. And so people turned away from me. I'm talking about my hands. People turned away from me. And it's funny I talk with my hands like that. And then I got to a place where I was alone. I felt isolated, or I isolated, not felt. And I was completely by myself. Even if I was in a crowd of people, by myself. Hating myself, for that matter. So there was not one person who liked me. There were people who loved me, but there was not one person who liked me. Not when I'm like that. And I didn't like me either. And the person that was talking to me the worst was me. In here. And I'll say out loud, because I talk a lot, clearly. So I would out loud verbally say, you're a piece of shit. I would out loud verbally say, you're all alone. No one's going to help you. The cavalry's not coming. You ain't shit. You might as well fucking die. What's the fucking point? Those kind of things. Which we call shame. It's a nice way. Like, shame doesn't sound as bad when you just call it that, even though it is. And so now I live a life where I try my best. Well, I don't talk bad about myself. I don't talk bad about myself to make myself like to joke. I don't joke bad about myself anymore. I used to do that all the time. Maybe people think it's funny. I'd have people tell me, like, don't talk about yourself like that. Even joking. They just don't say it. I didn't get it. It was a deflection. It's a defense mechanism to what's really going on inside, which I had no idea. So I bring all of this up because I had to build a relationship with myself. How did that start? By trusting in God, trusting in my higher power. I had to first trust something and have a small grain of faith in myself, and a small grain of faith in that something can help me. And I built that by staying clean daily, not drinking daily, and working on myself daily, by making an instant change. And that started with honesty. And I could go back like to 2 years and having that conversation, but that wasn't the real honesty conversation I had. That was me afraid saying I needed help versus this, I need you, God, and then asking for help. That's the big difference between the year I got the first time and this year that I have now. That's the big difference, where it started. That foundation of stripping the foundation, stripping the buildings, stripping everything, and changing it all instantly, and being honest with the people close to me. It didn't have to be everybody. I didn't have to post a video, hey, I'm fucked up, I need to get better. It was, I talked to my family, I talked to my work, and I talked to my recovery friends. Really, I didn't talk to any of them, actually, if I think about it. I just went out and did it. And then I talked to them as I gradually came back in. Now, today's Just for Today is about honest relationships. And I have honest relationships. No matter how hard it's hurt that the relationships I've lost, or the ones that have gone away, let's not say lost here, the ones that didn't work out anymore, and ones are plural. But when I look back, I was honest. I was working on boundaries. Now, I may not have been respecting boundaries, which I've learned the hard way, which is the way, right? I've just learned. It's not the hard way, it's just the way it is. You know, it cost me a couple relationships. But I've also set boundaries inside myself and outside, external boundaries. Those boundaries create healthy relationships. My friendships that I have are friendships based on me being a friend, and then them being a friend back. Speaking in honesty, being vulnerable, all of those things that it takes. And because of that, I have some really good friendships right now. And here's the thing. Here's the big thing. When I talk about my recovery, and I'm speaking about personal anonymity here, okay? Recovery is based on personal anonymity. At least that's the 11th tradition. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, there are traditions. There's 12 of them. Read all 12 of them. 11th tradition is personal anonymity, is the spiritual foundation of my recovery. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but when I talk, I speak about myself only. And I may reference a situation, but not to bring out a name. Only talk about my side of the street and try my best to say, well, I'm struggling because of a situation, but here's what I did wrong. So, for me, if I want to just be alone and stay clean, I'll stay clean for a certain amount of period of time. If I have no friends, that will last for only so long. You know, surface friends where you come in and you're like, hey, how are you? And they're like, hey, how are you? And you're like, I'm good. And you see them regularly. And then you talk about yourself as if everything is okay. And then they tell you some things that are going on, and then you just, that's it. That's a surface relationship. The other one is where you are honest and you get vulnerable and you share, and they share, and you get intimate, where it's not romantic. Romantic intimacy is a destroyer of relationships. At least for me it was. And it has been. It has time and time again destroyed my relationships with the opposite sex. No matter how long that relationship has lasted. The ones that have lasted the longest, the 5-year ones. We'll just talk about when I got clean in 2020. Those 5-year relationships, and the ones that I have that are super strong right now, there are no romantic intimacy involved in that. Now, is it to say that I want every single relationship to not have romantic intimacy? No, I want a partner, for sure. I don't need a partner. I had to realize that I don't need a partner. As a matter of fact, it's good I don't have a romantic relationship, that I build a friendship which then turns into a romantic relationship. Now, I'm not saying that I don't have friendships where there's romantic intimacy that was involved. I do. An ex-wife, an ex-fiance, I have friends. But if it's just a romantic intimacy and it's just sex, it doesn't work for me. So I have to cultivate. I have to build. That starts with the honest relationships. The most fruitful relationships for me are the ones where I'm vulnerable, the ones that they are my best of friends, and I have a nice handful of best friends. My sponsor is one of them. Now, the recovery side of things is together we stay clean. And we cannot do this alone. Which is important, I believe. When I look at now where I'm at in my life, where I look at where I'm at right now in my life, and why does my life feel so fruitful? Why does my recovery feel so fruitful? It's because of the relationships I have with people. And what are those relationships? Those are honest relationships. No ulterior motives. Nothing like, I'm going to give so I can get. And I'm going to give so I can get something in return. And I'm going to do this just so I can get this. Or the possibility of I might get this. It's just like this constant. It's like a gratitude relationship where I'm grateful they're in my life and they're grateful I'm in their life. And I've built these by like going on hikes, by communicating regularly, by seeing them in meetings, by sharing my bullshit and being honest. There are a handful of my friends that know everything about me. Everything. And that's why I believe my recovery is doing so well. It's that community that they talk about. The opposite of addiction is community. It's relationships. It's honest relationships. It's working a program so I can keep relationships. I do all these steps. I work all these steps so I learn about me so I can be a better me to other people. And then I have all these people that I can help, and they can help. And they can see me and say, hey, I notice you're doing this. Here's a suggestion. Do whatever you need to do. Now that is the friendships I've never had. The ones where I don't feel like less than after I've talked to them. The ones that don't drain me when I'm talking to them. Where I'm in a really good space and then all of a sudden I talk to them and then it just drops. Because I want to be at people's level when I talk, and it's probably part of what I do for a living, but I want to be at people's level, so I will try to mirror their breathing. I will try to mirror their emotions so I could be at the same level when I communicate. And if I hang out with people that are just draining me, then I drop myself this positivity down. But I'm realizing that I'm not going to just pick people that are positive. I gotta, like if I want to help people, then you don't help people. Like if I want to help people and I want to lift people up, they have to be down and I have to be up. So maybe that way of thinking has always been wrong. And I've got to learn how to just always stay positive. If they don't like me, then I'm not the right one for them. And just keep moving forward. So the honest relationships is important. It's huge. Just being 100 with people. And not everybody is going to be in that circle. And knowing I don't need it, and understanding that, like, well, if somebody's going to talk me down or talk bad about me, then they're not really part of my thing. But not to really focus on if they're talking me down or, saying anything behind my back. It doesn't matter. People say things behind people's backs all the time. I need to expect it. but not look for it. And just be honest with the people that are in my circle and cultivate that, you know? So, honest relationships is the pinnacle of my recovery. The foundation is being honest, open-minded, and willing. And faith is the forefront. Trusting in God, trusting in a power greater than myself, and turning my life and my will over to the care of that over and over again. Using the serenity prayer when things are going bad. You know, I've been so consumed with what's going on around the world, and I won't go into details, but I have kids. So I'm struggling with certain things that are going on around the world, not politically, just things that are going on politically, but things that are going on. And when I watch a video, that drains me. So it's my relationship with the videos that I'm watching. Do I want to let that consume me? I was up till 2 a.m. watching pain, destruction, and all that, coming to my own conclusions based on anger, resentment, and fear. But if I look at a whole of yesterday, I met 2 people that went on a mission, and they were wonderful people. Not that everybody else isn't wonderful that I talked to, but it was like they told me how they did it, and I was meant to hear how it was done, because there's going to be a point in my life where I'm going to dedicate a year of my life to that. You know, when my youngest is old enough to where I can. I don't want her to, or them to not see me for a whole year. So I want them to be at a certain age. And then I want to dedicate a year of my life to doing something of service. And I don't know how old I'll be. The calling will happen and it'll just go. But yeah, that seed was planted by somebody that I talked to close to a year ago. They said they wanted to do that, and I just thought, it sounds like an amazing idea, actually. And then I told myself, well, I got kids, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that, I can't do it. Then I met these 2 people that did, with kids. And I thought, man, interesting. So, relationships, honest relationships. How honest are my relationships that I have with the people that I'm surrounding myself around? I'd like to say that I've done a really good job cultivating. And I've done even a better job of being honest. I don't lie to people anymore. I overshare, actually. There are certain things I don't need to say. And I'm learning that balance of not saying this and not saying that. But in the meantime, I'll continue to learn and just always push towards the honesty, the open-mindedness, and the willingness. So to close this out, I heard this a long time ago. If you want a friend, be a friend, and you'll have friends. Start with you, not them. You know that saying, nobody wants to be my friend? How about you want to be people's friends? And then what it takes to do that. Have a good day. It's going to be a good one.